Today we're looking at the Peloponnesian War. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer World History. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com where you'll find more resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. The Peloponnesian War, named after the Peloponnesian Peninsula on which most of the war took place, was a lengthy conflict lasting from 431 BC until 404 BC between the powerful Greek city-states of Athens and Sparta. Interestingly, the Peloponnesian War is one of the first wars in history to be documented in a reliable fashion, as Greek historians wrote extensively about its battles and events. The war itself was not simply between Athens and Sparta, but rather Athens and Sparta were viewed as the leading city-states of their own alliances of many city-states across ancient Greece. Athens was the leading naval power of the time period, having a fleet of close to 300 trireme ships, which were ships with large bronze rams on the nose of the ship, which could be used to puncture the hull of enemy vessels. Sparta, on the other hand, had the leading army or land-based military force of ancient Greece. Spartan warriors were trained from an early age in warfare and were known to be tenacious fighters. Throughout the 5th century B.C., both Athens and Sparta had grown in power and influence, and both began to look at the other as a dangerous rival for control of the region. All it would take is a little nudge, and the two would go to war. Tensions began to really rise around 433 BC, when Athens became allies with the city-state of Corcyra, which was a colony of Corinth, who in turn was an ally of Sparta. Sparta and Corinth viewed this alliance as an act of aggression on the part of the Athenians. The two sides tried to negotiate to avoid conflict, but in 431 BC, the city-state of Thebes, an ally of Sparta, attacked the city-state of Plataea, an ally of Athens, and now the war officially began. The war would go on for almost 30 years, with 3 different phases of the war, with the first lasting 10 years, then a 6-year peace, then the last part of the war lasting 11 years. During the first phase of the war, sometimes referred to as the 10 Years' War or the Archidamian War, the Spartan army rushed to attack the region around Athens, but the Athenians, under the leadership of Pericles, were able to fight off an invasion of Athens itself by using their superior navy to harass enemy ships. However, plague soon swept through Athens, killing Pericles along with thousands of Athenian citizens and soldiers. Athens, however, continued to hold strong against Spartan forces for the next several years. By 425 BC, Athens began a major campaign in the western region of the Peloponnesian Peninsula, winning several victories and forcing Sparta to begin to consider a peace agreement. At the Battle of Amphipolis in 422 BC, about 1,500 Athenian hoplite soldiers and cavalry faced a larger 2,300-strong force of Spartans. The Athenians were badly beaten. However, the leaders of both the Spartan and Athenian armies were killed in the fighting. An Athenian general named Nicias then took command of the Athenian army. Soon after, in 421 BC, Nicias negotiated a peace with Sparta called the Peace of Nicias. This agreement ended the first period of the war. However, few of the terms of the treaty were ever fulfilled by either side, so tensions still remained high. The peace lasted for the next 6 years until 415 BC, when Athens began launching attacks against the island of Sicily off the southern coast of modern-day Italy. The island of Sicily was rich with resources such as grain, and Athens feared that the city-states of the island, especially the city-state of Syracuse, would give those resources to Sparta and their allies. Athens launched a major assault on Syracuse, which would result in disaster for the Athenians. Aided by the Spartans, Syracuse held strong against the Athenian attack, and Athens lost nearly their entire navy, losing as many as 200 ships. At about the same time, back in Athens, there were serious problems as well as their democracy began to collapse. Over the next few years, Athens attempted to rebuild their navy to the power they were before, but constant attacks from Spartan vessels slowed their efforts. Eventually, in 405 BC, the Athenian navy was completely defeated by the Spartans at the Battle of Aegospotami, in which 160 Athenian ships were destroyed and over 3,000 captured Athenians were put to death. Shortly after, in 404 BC, the city of Athens itself surrendered to the Spartans, who had surrounded it and laid siege to the city. After 27 years, the war was over, but the Greek people of both sides were left exhausted after such a long conflict. This set the stage for conquest of the region by Philip II of Macedonia, and then later by his son Alexander the Great. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.